the whole premise for today's podcast is based off of a question that I posed to my network on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. So you and I both, once upon a time, were entrepreneurs inside of organizations where we had an opportunity to learn and grow up and forge new departments and territories. And ultimately all we ever really wanted to do was break off and do our own thing. And so the premise for the pod is really try to help those people make that entrepreneurial leap. So I posed a question to my network and it went like this. It said, how many people in my network want to exit the rat race and own their own company, either start a company or buy a company, but aren't sure how to get started? And then I put 4 reasons why they might be not doing it. Mm-hmm. The first one was, I want to, but I'm not sure how. The second one was, I have no desire at all to be an entrepreneur. Perfect. This isn't for you.
You're honest.
Honest, which is, it's actually helpful. The third one was, if I had a partner, I would. And the fourth one was, I need money to start up. Right? What do you think the number one answer was?
I'm going to say the number one answer was either 1 or 3.
1 or 3. I want to, but I'm not sure how. Or if I had a partner. I would. The actual winner was, I need money to start up. Number 1. Number 2, I want to, but I'm not sure how. Mm-hmm. And number 3, if I had a partner, I would. All of those things are important. We're gonna start with the first one, and some of the other ones of I'm not sure how or if I had a partner will kind of get answered. But primarily today's podcast is called Why You Don't Need Money to Start a Business and Why You Probably Don't Want to Take Other People's Money.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
That sounds fantastic.
So there's this gross misconception that I think people have, and it's probably been pushed by the software technology community, that in order to start a business, I have to go raise a bunch of money, or I have to have this like ridiculous idea, like Elon Musk world-changing idea, like SpaceX type company, in order to become an entrepreneur. And you and I both know that that is not the reality. But I'm interested to know, before you took the leap, what did you think was holding you back from being able to do that?
Understanding.
What does that mean?
So when it came to me taking the leap, I didn't really think about the money piece as like a barrier to entry. I was like, I'm going to go for this and I'm going to figure it out as I go.
Interesting.
You know, and I personally came to a point where it was like, either put up or shut up, you know? And so money wasn't a hindrance to me at all. So I would be coming in at number 2 on the list. I didn't know how, and that made me hesitant, but I figured I'm a big believer in the internet. So honestly, I was like, money is not an issue because you can figure out something with the internet. That was my thinking initially.
Did you do any research or preparation before you jumped?
I knew initially that I was going to try to make money doing consulting and stuff to stay afloat while I figured out where I landed once I broke away. And so all I really did was look into what people were paying, willing to pay consultants. I tried to find different consultants in the area, packages and things like that, and be aware of what the market was like. But I was more desperate than some other people to break free. So my main focus was just breaking free. I didn't have an elaborate plan, you know?
Yeah.
And some of those other things just didn't matter anymore. I saw my friends leaving. I'm like desperate. You were gone, you know, like everybody that, you know, so it was just like, get out. So I was a little bit different in that sense.
Well, I had a mentor tell me one time that money doesn't flow to a good deal or a good idea. It flows to knowledge and expertise. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing that I think that anybody who wants to take the leap and hasn't, like I don't know how, money doesn't solve that problem, and money does not flow to people with good ideas, right? It flows to people who are experts and understand what they're getting into, right? And it's kind of like a chicken or the egg scenario. So the first thing you got to get your head wrapped around is just research and preparation. Most people don't go deep enough, know enough about the industry that they're jumping into. I know this for myself included. You jump into an industry thinking that you have it figured out or you understand something, and then what you thought changes drastically.
Absolutely.
And it's iterative. But at the very least, you need to at least have a strong foundation on what is the size of the total addressable market? How big is the actual opportunity? how am I going to make money?
Yeah.
Right. How am I going to market the business? And then you need to think about how you're going to scale and grow your team as you go. So tip number one is just spend as much time as you do playing fantasy football,
scrolling
on YouTube or Instagram,
being
motivated. Yeah. To actually do the research and be a student of the game or the industry that you're going to get into, because knowledge will give you the confidence that you need to start taking the step.
Absolutely. I would actually say that was one of my bigger regrets, actually, was, so I knew that I needed to get out. So that was my focus. But when I got out, that same sort of desperation made me speed. And so I had blind spots. Yeah, I did my initial research into what people were charging and willing to pay and kind of how they frame things up. But I didn't do things like making sure financials were on point, like bank accounts, setting things, I'm spending money out of my personal, there were things that I didn't do just by way of not slowing down, not thinking about what does it mean to own a business and operate a business, let alone my specific industry or things like that. So
I mean, the other side of that coin though is you learned like 10x speed
for sure.
Right. And so that's the double-edged sword, is there's a lot of people who say they want to be entrepreneurs, but truthfully, they're actually kind of comfortable where they're at. And so sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off and actually burn the boats and jump in head first. But there's certain things that hold you back. Like for me, it was, I got a family, we got a lifestyle. How do I not screw all that up? I'm not cheap to keep alive. So not that, for a family, like we need at least $85,000 to maintain our lifestyle, which for most people is a lot of money, right? But not for me as the sole provider for my family, right? And so, so I spent a lot more time building a side hustle and proving the concept where I didn't actually need the money, which allowed me to iterate and learn and then jump. But that said, once I jumped, the learning was 10x, because the part that you can't get by just doing research is understanding the attitudes, the skills, and the habits that make successful entrepreneurs.
Facts. There's a saying out there, but many people have said different versions of this, but you can take all the money in the world and spread it out afresh, and it won't be long before it drifts right back into the hands of the same people who had it.
100%.
Because of the knowledge, the skills, the attitude, the wisdom, the understanding.
Yep.
Because there's something to say, like, you can't take away, outside of physically incapacitating someone, you can't take away someone's skill, their understanding, their knowledge.
Yep.
I can remove other things. I can remove your technology. I can remove your equipment, but I can't take away, you can't tax skill. You know what I'm saying? And so that's
the other part about why you don't need money is, number one, you're not ready to take people's money. You don't know enough. You don't have enough knowledge, and it actually puts a different kind of pressure on you that you're not prepared for.
Yeah.
Again, money will flow to you when you have product market fit, understanding of the industry. You know what you're doing. You've had enough school of hard knocks. You've made enough mistakes. So, there is a time component to just being in the game long enough before you're ready to go raise money. That's why most people who have a startup idea, this is not their first rodeo.
Yeah.
They didn't go raise $10 million their first time, right? It took a while. Or they got a little seed round, they ran the company for 7 years,
right,
and then they raised another round of money, right?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I think is interesting in regards to the I don't have money issue for why I won't start a business is, in complement to the research, if you had a clear understanding of what it is you were trying to do, what you needed, or in other words, who you needed, money, you'd be surprised. If my personal experience, even just in our relationship, one of the things I've found early out the gate is one of your partners might have the money, but if you don't get clear on what you need in a partner, who it is, where they're supposed to be, how they're going to help fit within the business and addressing this problem for the market, like you will miss that, because all you're seeing something. I mean, no one ever does. No, very few people make extremely great decisions from the standpoint of focusing on what they don't have.
100%.
You know,
You need like 5 players, and this could all be one person, could be just a couple people, but there's really like 5 components. So you need somebody to find the idea or come up with the idea. So it could be find the business to buy, somebody to make it viable, somebody to operate it and see it over the line, someone to bring the money or get the money, and then the back end of that, somebody to sell it, right? And so those are all kind of the different hats that you wear as the entrepreneur, the founder, running the company. Money is just one of those components. So let's talk about, how can I get money if I don't have money? I don't know. Why don't you go sell some product, right?
Yes.
And so unless you're, creating some sort of technology or something like that, there's other ways to go get money. If you're in a service-based business, you can go get money. If you can do consulting, you can find other ways to create revenue streams for yourself that you can then pour back into the business that allow you time, energy to build the software that you want to build, or whatever it might be, right? And so the very first thing that you need to know is marketing is going to be your number one tool. And the most important thing that you have to do when you first get into the game is establish social proof with the market, or trust. And if you haven't seen the video that we put together, we'll link it right here, but we put together a video on YouTube about 15 steps, how to go from zero to revenue that don't require any money. It's literally just you leveraging your skill to go and create revenue out of thin air, and then using that to pour back in. But then the third piece of that is just, how do you leverage that money so that you can continually grow your marketing and scale, right? So I think that was maybe one of the challenges that you were up against when you first dove off the deep end, is you had these consulting gigs that were taking your time, but you had no additional revenue coming off of that you can then use to pour back into the...
Right, and then it begins to feel just like a job again. And then that starts a whole different cycle on the mental. And so it was, and it's interesting because when you think about money, we have such a fickle relationship with money. So, for example, new people who are starting businesses often might feel timid about like certain price points or certain offerings, because they're like, I don't have this. But dude, I forgot something you said to me one of the times early on into my journey. You said something, it had something to do with what I was charging. And I can't remember specifically, but I remember that. And then it was like the same week, a friend of ours, Brian, said something to me. And it was just like, what are you doing? Like, you're worth more than that.
Yeah.
And you're wondering why you're so stressed. You're underselling yourself, right?
Yep.
So many people out there have developed 7 to 10 years in their career. They have these skills that, because they come to the market and they think, I'm not a big dog, or I don't have a reputation, I need to immediately discount. Well, maybe you actually don't, but you need to get really clear, hence your research and your development, as how you're going to solve the problem differently versus your competitors.
Yeah, or you find the 10 people closest to you, you do the work for free or at a discount, and turn that into reviews, which then gives you confidence.
There you go.
You pair that with a really solid offer. Most people don't even know what their offer is.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, oh, I do digital stuff. I can do all things. This is where agencies get trapped, right? Like, oh, we do digital marketing. It's like, what does that mean? Like, or you could say, no, we work with companies that do over $3 million a year. We help them build their own internal marketing team. We help them establish a strategy, and we help them scale their ad budgets. And then we hand them the keys and we walk away.
Yeah.
That's a clear offer, right?
Absolutely.
Versus we're a digital marketing agency, right? And so you got to get super clear on your offer. So really it just kind of simply breaks down is like, lay the groundwork and do the research. Let your customers propel you by selling, right? Creating revenue for yourself.
Absolutely. And
then pouring that money back in to do the next most important thing, which is going horizontal to go vertical.
Can you touch on that?
What do I mean by that? Do you know?
Well, I'm guessing you're expanding out across what you already do, and then you're maximizing that, and then you're looking at related things going up.
So I'm actually talking about, there's only one thing that can scale inside of a company, and that's time.
Okay.
Right. And so
if you're the Riddler over here.
Yeah. Well, but it's, when we think scaling, everybody thinks about revenue going higher, but truthfully, the first freedom that you need to get inside of your company is time. So for perspective, if I'm selling 60 hours a week and I start closing those accounts, I now have to service them.
Right.
So now I'm actually selling, let's call it 50% of the week, servicing 50% of the week. So if I hired another salesperson, now I'm back to 150%
On service.
sales capacity, right? And I can focus 50% on service. Then I can go hire another service person. And now we have more sales capacity, right? And so you're constantly throttling up and down and reallocating the resources to get more time. And so the number one trap that new entrepreneurs get caught in is like, well, if I do that, how am I going to pay myself? Right. And so salespeople love commission. And so fix the commission problem.
Yeah.
Scale your commission to help.
Motivation. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And so just because maybe you're not motivated that way doesn't mean that they aren't. Right.
Yeah. So as I'm thinking about this excuse of, and I respectfully call it an excuse, guys, for those of you out there who hold to this position of, I don't have the money. I think I did a quick Google search on some ways at which someone can make $1,000 fast in a week. Uh-huh. And this is just the top results you get. First, top 8 results. Make deliveries. So delivering food. Drive for Uber or Lyft. Take online surveys. Start freelancing online. Become a virtual assistant in your spare hours. Earn shopping rewards. Don't know about that one. But the last 2, sell all the things you do not need. Money is an issue. And then sell every piece of jewelry you have and do not want.
Can I rebuttal on that?
Yeah.
Any person that's thinking that way is not an entrepreneur. Because entrepreneurs are thinking about how do I go win? How do I not lose? That's not losing mindset.
For sure.
So the reason that happens is because you're unclear about what your actual offer is. You have no confidence in your ability to go sell it, or you can't sell. And so I have never changed my lifestyle one time when, quote unquote, taking the leap, because I'm focused on winning, not on not losing.
For sure.
And so I dial in on the offer. I get clear on what do I need to do in order to go sell that. I sell it. I take the revenue. I build the team. That's literally the recipe. It's the only way to do it. So I
just thought it was interesting in light of people having that mentality of, I don't have money.
Correct.
If
it's just, that's not very, it's not enough money. Right?
No. And most of that's time consuming. So.
And I would say every single person that wrote those articles has never run a company or started anything from scratch.
Right.
So entrepreneurs don't think that way.
But I think it's to your bigger point of if you think money's the issue, there's a 90% chance it's not the issue. Right. But your clarity, your lack of understanding about how you're going to go about this, and the small, subtle opportunities in front of you of I have this rare video game that's worth $1,200, and I need $1,200 to start this thing or whatever, to buy this, to get my inventory. Oh, I don't have any money. Well, you got money right there, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think that most people are just thinking that money has power. I heard a great Ryan Serhant. Do you know who that is?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, he was selling New York. He's got an incredible brokerage house now.
Yeah, he's a beast.
But he said, people talk about making money. He's like, the money is not already made. The money is already made. You're just now trying to get them to assign those dollars to you, right? You're creating value. So if I go sell a piece of real estate, right, and I put a value on that, I'm not making money. Mm-hmm. I'm just getting people to assign the dollars to me that already exist in the marketplace, and then therefore they're mine. So money is really just a tool. And I think that it really becomes clear when you become an entrepreneur, because that tool of money allows you to buy your time, right? The way that I can work 400, 500, 600 hours a week is because I have employees that work for me, right? And then they're out selling, servicing, marketing, implementing, editing content, doing all these things, right? So time is the most important component. Time is money. You leverage money as a tool to create more time for yourself inside the organization. And that requires delayed gratification, which unfortunately most people are not.
That's the hardest piece.
They're not willing to sacrifice the short term for the long term. You're talking maybe 6 months to a year of your life that you're, not balling out of control or going on all the vacations or whatever it may be. to get the company to where you want it to be.
Well, and even if it was longer than that, that's okay. That's doable. Like,
Right.
you can manage. One of the best quotes I heard when I took the leap came from one of my good friends who I really admire. His name's Mitch. He said, human beings can do anything for a year.
Yep.
And just left it at that and said anything else after that. And so you can do anything for a year.
Yep.
You can get scrappy, get focused, get determined, get clear in your offer, go out and sell it and build and recycle your funds and do all the things the right way, investing it for a year.
Yep.
You can do that.
And you can do that while you have another job.
Yeah.
You can do that while you have a good career or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And then make that transition over. And here's the last reason why you don't want to raise money early.
Yes. Which I knew we were going to get to this point.
The reason being is you haven't created any value in the company. And so if there's no value in the company and you go raise money early, then you're going to have to give up a ton of the value for an investor, which means you're probably going to lose the controlling equity or share in your business. And as a result,
you don't own the business.
You don't own the business, and they're going to push you around. And so every entrepreneur who's ever taken money early knows the pressure of, we have to go hit this, projected pro forma exit horizon so that we can hit the return hurdle and everybody can get paid back. But business doesn't work that way.
Have you been in an environment where that's happened?
Sometimes you have to slow down to go fast. And no, I haven't put myself in that, but I have friends who have done that.
Yeah. What's that experience been like for them?
You're now just managing the business to the balance sheet and trying to hit a return profile. So, we got to go get more users. We got to go get this amount of revenue, right? Instead of saying, hey, why don't we just slow down for a second, identify who our actual best customer is. Let's actually make less money, but it's more profitable, more sustainable, last longer. We'll have less employees. We'll have less of a size of a company, but on a multiple level, we'll actually be worth more, right? Mm-hmm. You can get to 100 million and only be worth, 300 million, or you can get to 50 million and be worth 500 million, right? So it depends on how you're building and growing and scaling your company. That's so far down the road. We don't need to get into that, but early days, you don't want to lose control of your company, and nobody's going to give you money because you don't know shit yet. Right. And the pressure that comes along with being responsible and stewarding somebody else's capital, you're just not ready for that yet. And so you're going to have to go do the work, and it's a chicken or the egg scenario, and there's no way around it. If you haven't done anything, you haven't started your own company, then get ready. You're going to have to go put in some hours and some cycles and be prepared to do the work in order to prove that you're the right type of guy. And so I'll leave you with this story. My buddy, he raised $1 million for one of his companies, and he had, probably talked to like 15, 16 different investors. He was in Techstars, which, if you guys don't know what Techstars is, it's one of the largest incubators in the country. Not as big as Y Combinator, but it's pretty big. And he walks into this meeting, sits down with this investor and gives him the pitch, and then ends the pitch with this like, well, and it's really hard for guys like us. And he'll tell you this story. He was implying that as a black man raising money in tech, that it was hard for him. And the guy looked him dead in his eyes and said, I wish you hadn't have said that. He said, why? He said, how many conversations have you had with investors? He said, like 15. He said, well, the guy that just walked out in front of you, I just invested in his company, and he had conversations with 400 people. I know that guy's willing to do the work. I know that if I give him money, he's going to see it all the way through. But you just gave me some sob story, and like, you haven't even done the work yet. And so go do the work first before you even think about getting the money, because there's a lot that you don't know that you're going to have to figure out. So the whole, I don't know how to get started, is you just get started and then you learn.
That's good. What's interesting is when someone says that money's an issue, what they need to think is, I'm right. Money's an issue. Money's an issue that I need to learn to understand.
Right.
Not that money coming from somewhere else or coming out of thin air is the issue. It's that you don't understand how money works, how value is created. Like that's a huge piece. Because even as I think about ways that I've thought before, like, I need this or it's like, actually, you need to take a step back and understand, how does this world work? How does this world of commerce work? How does investing work? Oh, I need outside money. Well, you haven't really thought about how investing works, because everyone who has knows that you don't just get given the gift of money with no weight behind it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's interesting just thinking about the excuse of, I don't have money and I need money. It just points to a fundamental lack of understanding of how value is created and how money changes hands in our society. We all deal with it, you know. We didn't come up in these systems that teach wealth production, you know, let's just say value capturing.
We were all raised to be employees, right? And so it's, you know, you're considered an alien if you want to go be an entrepreneur, right? But entrepreneurs are the ones that create jobs. Entrepreneurs are the ones that create value. The entrepreneurs are the ones that innovate or pioneer or revolutionize or serve the market. Entrepreneurs are the ones that create housing, right? And so, you know, it seems to me like entrepreneurs constantly get the bad rap that they're like greedy or whatever it might be, but entrepreneurs take the most risk, right? They add the most value to the market, and they are rewarded or they don't make it, right? It seems to me that if you're an employee, you're actually more selfish, right? Because you're expecting to get paid, right? You don't add any value to the market, quote unquote, other than one position or seat that you sit in. You take no risk. You're not creating jobs. You're not creating housing, right? And so it's just a perspective shift. Money is simply a tool, but most people let money own them and dictate how they make decisions.
Well, it's interesting. You say money is a tool, but the way you get money is also leveraging tools. Like
correct.
Leveraging relationships, being a person who has a tool belt, is capable.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like those are things to continue to break down for people. Like money is a tool in the hands of a skilled craftsman, but you know, who knows how to use other tools.
100%.
It's just one tool. It's just one tool. You know, that's an interesting thing to talk about, is how money is a tool amongst other tools. And you might have, what are some of the tools that attract the other tool of money? You know, those kind of things. Like incredible relationship builder. It's a tool. It's a skill set. You know, being someone who can network and connect and stay in connection with people.
Marketing's a tool. Sales is a tool. Product development's a tool.
Yeah. Oh, you can
service is a tool.
You can build an entire website. Money will come your way.
Hiring people is a tool.
Yes.
Scaling teams is a tool.
Yeah.
Finance is a tool.
Yeah.
Building financial models is
legal,
a tool.
Right?
Yeah. Legal, accounting. Those are all skills that can be traded for value. The problem is people only plug those into an organization as a job.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, when you start thinking like an entrepreneur, you're thinking about how to control your time and be able to leverage your skill to get paid the most amount of money for it possible. And then build a team around you so that you're not the only person doing that. Because just because you're operating on your own doesn't mean you're an entrepreneur, or it doesn't even mean you're a business owner. Most quote unquote entrepreneurs are really getting owned by their business. They just have glorified jobs.
Facts.
And so that's the difference.
Facts.
Well, if you guys are enjoying the pod, we're going to be doing a lot more stuff like this. Mindset, giving away the game.
Yes.
Street smarts. We write that newsletter every single week doing a similar type of thing. But specifically on these episodes, we're going to go a little bit deeper in a more conversational format to help you guys get over these unrealistic hurdles that it relates to. Imaginary hurdles that are preventing you from taking the entrepreneur leap. So if you loved it, give us a like, subscribe, write us a review on Spotify or Apple. And on the next one, we're going to be talking about how to go from zero to revenue quickly. I created a YouTube video on it and we'll link to that, but we're going to go real deep on a podcast format. So stay tuned for next week.
Peace.
Peace.